We are now live. What's going on, everybody? It is your host of the most, Tenzin, one third of the SOS podcast. B will be joining us shortly, but I am here with one of my favorite guests. I believe this is probably your third appearance on the SOS podcast, and that lets me know how much love she got for me and how much love the SOS got for her. Let's give it up for president and founder of the Black Nonbelievers, Mandisa Thomas.
Hey, 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 what is going on? Thank you for having me again. I appreciate being on the show.
Yeah, I mean, I hope to have you on some more. Now that I know that you're going down the debate circuit, let me ask you, Mandisa, do you have the patience to debate transphobes or any
No,
sort of bigot? Okay, all right,
my
I won't
patience
subject
with
you
it
to it.
is, let me just say that my patience with it is very short because I think, for one, their perspectives are just very, very unfounded. They're, whether it's willfully or deliberate, or just ignorant, whether it's willfully ignorant or just they just don't know. I can only have this conversation with folks like that for a short period of time. And
Okay.
it's because, but I realize that at times it's going to be important because of this current administration. We're already seeing a lot of craziness. And so it's going
A
to
lot of
take
lies being
more of
spread. Yeah.
us. Yes, yes, and as unpleasant as it may be, we'll at least have to start the conversation. It'll at least have to, we'll just have to, like, really sow those seeds, if you will, of of critical thought and helping people to understand why their perspective is misguided, to say the least. But, like, I don't have the patience to do it, like, on end. And part of that is because it kind of it not kind of, it does interfere with what my passion and where my work lies. Although it does get traction, it has been helpful. And so and I'm not afraid of it. It just is just exhausting at times.
I understand that. Yeah, especially like, you know what? I ain't gonna hold you. I mean, I have a couple of friends who are in that bigoted space, and it's just so because it's like they're your friends, so you can't be rude to them. But it's like you're like, come on, dog. But as you said, these conversations are important, and we do have to start somewhere. Especially March 21st through the 23rd, where we revive reason.
Absolutely. And I will say that if they're your friends and close people, then sometimes you have to be direct. And sometimes it may not be the most pleasant conversation. And sometimes you may want to take a breather. You'll probably get upset with them and be like, "Argh." But, they may consider it rude, but, there are going to be times where the excuse me, the discussion will be tense. And
Mhm.
I am very, very, I have, I don't think that we should be coddling people simply because they've had a space of privilege. Um,
Mm.
it's important that folks understand, especially on the other side, that they've had the advantage and the leg up for a very long time. And just because we express our very valid opinions and perspectives, and they are based on evidence and verification, that we shouldn't have to always walk on eggshells or tread lightly because of that. Sometimes we gotta push those, sometimes we gotta push those buttons. And
You know,
yeah, yes.
yeah, because it's crazy. Like, I mean, like it gets to me, but like, let's just say, like, if we're just debating like creation versus evolution or something like that, right? Like, yeah, you can,
Mhm.
like my interlocutor will be just as dishonest or uninformed, but it's like I won't be that mad. But when it comes to like, politics, like social stuff, because a friend of mine, transphobic, well, homophobic as well, but it's like it's just so infuriating because I'm like, okay, we're talking about real shit.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, get out of your fantasy world. Like, no,
Right.
because it's like,
And no, go
yeah,
ahead.
because I remember, 'cause, we're talking about like, like children seeing, like like seeing like homosexual relationships on children's shows. And I remember, like, mind you, he was talking crazy about homosexuals all throughout the conversation. But as soon as I say, "Oh yeah, buddy," they're just gonna watch the show and just turn gay, right? Because that's how it works. What? Don't mock me. I'm like, you were pissing me off the whole conversation. Like so. I mean,
Right. Right.
this
Yeah,
guy
like
put
your
his
opinion
alpha.
is just so valid, and you just sound so you sound so reasonable and objective, and it's like, no, you really really don't. You are, you sound crazy. We don't want to we don't want to say that, but really, because you've been in your echo chamber for so long and you think that that's valid, it really isn't.
Oh
And
yeah,
yeah, just the way they think those things work, it's like, no, no, no,
right.
that's not how this works. Like, yeah.
But anyway, the revival of reason next
Yes.
month, March
Yes.
21st through the 23rd. What?
Mm.
How did this event come about?
So at BN, we've hosted events over the years. We're 14 years old now.
Yeah.
And so we have, as you know, we host like in-person events, whether they're social. We've had the opportunity to put on conferences and fifth anniversary celebrations. We always celebrate 5 years. We celebrated 10 years. We're going to celebrate 15 years next year. And so there was an idea that came to us about hosting like a secular revival or like a atheist revival. But we wanted to make sure that instead of it just, of course, most revivals, as you picture them, are like Christian, right? They're in this big tent,
Right. Big
this
big
is
tent, yeah.
big tent, people praising and
People
worshiping
falling
the
out.
Lord. Yeah, yes, it's all these things. But um, I've always said that the religious community does not have the monopoly on fellowship and community building and gatherings. And I would argue that, having been raised um, fully in Black communities, that religion, especially Christianity, does not have to dominate how we view community, even when you're coming out of it. But that is an important piece. Many people who leave religion, they leave their churches, they let go of the God concept. They are often missing that community engagement. They miss that social networking. They miss that social piece. And that's where Black Nonbelievers has come in for many people, not just simply through meeting, even though, we do gather a lot over food, drinks, and that's always great. But we also offer a
Mhm.
lot of educational programming. We are very engaged in advocacy, especially as it pertains to our rights as human beings.
Yes.
So, what we wanted to do was to showcase and have an event where it was very much in the style of how we do things at Black Nonbelievers, where we do have speakers, where we feature partners in this work who have who can offer resources, life resources for non-religious people, and also feature entertainment, feature creatives, feature non-religious people who have been creating, and also showcase some of the talent that we have in this community, and also incorporate aspects of Black culture, that and also just of pop culture in general, that will resonate with some of everyone. And so that is so we decided to put this together in March. It's the first day, it's the start of spring. And also it coincides with World Atheist Day, which is something that has been recognized for
Okay.
a few years now. on March 23rd. So we really wanted to, it was sort of like a blossoming, if you will. It's a new season. People are, it's people are coming out of the winter. They're coming, into like hopefully a warmer and more welcoming and inviting season. And
Mm.
we wanted to showcase that, as we do at Black Nonbelievers, as the largest and most recognized Black secular organization now. And so we want people to know that, for one, they don't have to stay in this bubble, that there are more of us out here.
Right.
And if they were looking to connect with more people, hear more of the work that is being done, see the people who are doing the work, and just connecting more, definitely more in person. And there's an online streaming option, and we'll get to that later. But doing things as we do in a very comfortable, inviting, welcoming setting where people are feeling affirmed, people are
Mm.
feeling encouraged, and people are feeling supported, and they want to
Right.
get engaged, because to be inspired is a good thing, right? But we want to make sure that people
Hmm.
are maintaining and retaining that inspiration to the point where they are sufficiently getting involved and supporting the work that we do, and also realizing that they are empowered to get and stay involved. So it hopefully it'll be a start for some folks, and hopefully it won't end there, it'll keep going.
Right. Yeah, because and you know what? You know it's crazy. Like I can already hear, like even in the year of our Lord 2025, you know, I know I'm gonna hear the most eye roll inducing phrase. "Mm, well, y'all show is acting like a religion. I mean, why you gotta spend so much time talking about how much you don't believe? But the thing is, we're human beings.
Right,
We're social creatures. We need community. Like y'all won't say that to fans of a sports team. You know what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
You won't
right,
say that to comic book nerds who gather multiple times a year, but they're
right.
gonna say that to us, right?
But
Like you
and
gotta,
what's
because
right,
community is
and then
needed.
right,
Like,
and just because, right, and the information is always evolving. There are so many people who have not realized that this is an option for them. I was recently on a podcast where there were a lot of people who were still shocked at the fact that I existed as a Black
mm,
woman and as an atheist. So people
still
are
in
still
25. Wow.
still in 2025. So, and the information and how we engage is always going through changes, and it is always growing. So
Mm,
we need to keep our foot on the gas, if you will, because it's not just simply a one-time conversation. People need to
right.
know, how do they overcome aspects of of religion that was harmful to them. How do they unpack that with new information? How is it that they can move forward with their lives in a community of fellow non-believers, but also amongst family members and friends who are still religious? These are things that
Right.
are we constantly navigate. And for those who they feel like, oh well, you just like to talk, talk shit about religion. Well, sometimes we do, yes. And there's plenty to talk about,
Yeah.
especially
Right.
in this current climate. There's plenty to talk
That's what
about.
I'm saying. Oh my goodness. You know what? And like, it's crazy. You hear me say this a lot. Like, when I was a Christian, I don't remember being that big of a fucking pussy about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I unironically believe that the most powerful nigga in the universe was on my side. So what the fuck are jokes?
Right,
But
right,
yeah, like, and I like what you said. We have to keep our foot on the gas because honestly, if 2020, if this election haven't proved that at all, I mean, we got to keep our foot, like, and even once this passes, we still have to like keep being
yes,
loud and about it. You
right,
know,
right. And people
Because
need to
really, a stroke of
understand.
a pen was undoing
Hmm.
a lot of right. So yeah, and I'm
Yes,
sorry. Go ahead.
yes. No, no, no. I'm just saying that, you know, there are there are definitely people who are relying on folks to be ignorant, that they will just willfully go along with things. And that is unfortunately what religious indoctrination grooms people to do. If you can't question, this God that you're supposed to believe in, then you really not supposed to be questioning anything. And unfortunately,
Mm,
it bleeds over into public policy. It bleeds into
yeah.
how we live our lives. Now, every Christian is not the same, as we know,
Right.
just like every atheist is not the same. But
Right.
what tends to happen is that, there are so many people who are put in a box, and unfortunately,
Oh,
with
my little
with
brother's here.
oh, okay,
Hey, B.
So
hey
what's
there,
up?
how are you?
What's up? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?
We're good. We're good.
Good. Good.
Hey,
Yeah, we're here with
my bad.
Mandisa tonight.
Hey, my bad for the lateness. I had some issues on my end, but we good now. Hopefully.
Okay,
Shout out
awesome.
to the SOS, y'all. What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and thank you, Mandisa, for joining us as well.
I'm happy to be here.
So,
All right.
what was y'all getting into before I interrupted?
So we were just talking about, of course, you know that I am an atheist and I run
Heathens.
my organization. Yeah, but we're also talking
Oh,
about
oh yeah,
how,
Mandisa.
yeah,
B is a theist, so we got to go easy now.
no, 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 but yeah, no. If we're talking about how, if we're, we were just talking about how, like, policies that are being put in place are impacting everybody,
For
believers
sure.
and non-believers alike. And it's important for us to continue to speak up and speak out so that we can find our common ground, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can continue to work together on solutions have been, that can actually help us all. This is going to be really, really important for all of us,
Mm-hmm.
because now there are things on the line now
Oh, for
that
sure.
affect us as just a black
Yeah.
community, period, as a community, period. So, um, it's going to be important that, we look through all of this, and some of the conversations, some of the discussions are going to be uncomfortable. But I think that it's good for all of us to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, so that
Yeah.
we can get
Mm.
to the space where, we really are working together, because we're going to need to do so in the very near future.
Oh, for sure, for sure, for sure. In terms of our communities, like with that split, I'm not really too like engaged when it comes to that split, but I've been mainly saying that when it came to the political split between like on the leftist side of the community of not just amongst black folks, but it's amongst people. Period. I've been saying that there's been a lot of infighting versus like the far to the left folks and more like more quote unquote establishment
Like your basic
democratic type.
liberal, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
and it. I've seen a lot of finger pointing over the past couple weeks of people saying, "No, it's y'all fault. Y'all messed this up. No, y'all messed this stuff or whatever." It's like,
Right.
you know, that conversation was relevant, I want to say about a month or so after the election. But at this point, it's kind of just like, well, he in there
Right.
now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
we got to
So
We need
now
figure
to
out.
what do
coalesce.
yeah,
Hmm.
we need
Right,
to
right, right. And like you said,
mobilize.
it comes with uncomfortable conversations. Some people's going to have to give up certain things. Some people's going to have to come to terms with stuff that they don't want to come to terms with. So
Mhm.
that's how you build solidarity. Now, do I think we will 100% have that solidarity? I'm not 100%
Yeah.
sure. You
Mhm.
know, but I at least hope we get to a point where we're aligned enough so that whatever we decide to do going forward, we have enough backing to fight this stuff. Because, like I said, we in the boat, you know, where we all about to suffer. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of
Oh
people,
yeah.
myself included, was ticked off at. especially the poor white folks who didn't want to see the writing on the wall. But unfortunately, all our Medicaid is getting cut off together, so we're going to have to work with them too.
Like I was also one thing
Wow.
I was just telling Tenzin before you joined us is that there are people in public office and in this current administration who rely on people not having information. This, that individual has been known to say that he basically likes stupid people.
Yeah.
He likes uneducated people, and they are relying on people who will just blindly follow.
Yep.
And I will say that the majority of believers, or there are quite a few believers, who will just kind of go along because their pastor told them to. And it's like, and there are, and I will say that there are a lot of non-believers who still are, they still carry that indoctrination with them. So it is not just simply on believers for that. That is not just simply, something that we just say about believers, but they are, it was really, really sad to see that many people in his base really just fell for the, and I'm speaking as an individual, not as a president of Black Nonbelievers, but I'm saying as an individual, that so many people really did not do research, even though there was fact checking in real time. There was fact checking in real time about what was true and what wasn't. And people still were just like, no.
That was
wow.
That was what was so sinister about the Trump administration, especially with the help of Bannon. It's like he successfully built a distrust in institutions. Started this anti-intellectual movement that occurred. I mean, that what we got to see with now. Like again, like with like sexuality and trans.
Right.
People. It's like people are, like I said, like, oh, what's your source? Oh, some college professor, the woke college. And like, see, like, what the fuck can I even say to you now?
But
like,
I'll say that, and I'll say
like,
this. I think he was the big like igniter of it. But I'll say that has been going on before him, though. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Like that's been big. Like the whole tearing down. Like it started. I think the time, I think especially when I was in high school, it was when I really started seeing the whole anti-college campus stuff. You know what I mean? And then that snowballed into, oh, now you got to distrust the medical community, and then it goes into before it even hit the medical community, I'd argue it went from education to media, then to the medical community.
The liberal media,
right. And so like that, he definitely uses it as his weapon. But unfortunately, there was people who've been on that way before he even declared his first presidency. You know what I mean? So like that, and like you said too, like with low information, I think that was the main thing I was seeing was like when it came to so many people, especially, I know it wasn't a lot, but especially the few Black people who were swinging towards that way, that's mainly what I was seeing. Like, I had a conversation with my barber around that time, and he was like, his main thing was talking about like he felt that Kamala was going too liberal and stuff when it came to like the gay and the trans stuff or whatever. And he said that he didn't like being pandered to, because one of the biggest talking points, especially amongst men for some reason, was this whole the whole debacle of Meg Thee Stallion at one of the rallies.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, that was less than like 2 minutes of that of that whole rally, and it really goes to show you how low information that is, because y'all saw that one part and turned your brain off to the rest. Like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all didn't hear nothing what she said, like nothing. All you saw was, I can't believe Meg Thee Stallion's twerking on stage, not my president. Like,
wow, yeah, and
Donald Trump
that, yeah.
brags about smashing porn stars. Like, what are you talking about?
But that just also goes
We
to
talked
show the
about it back in
hypocrisy, right? It goes to show the hypocrisy, the misogyny as well, and how there is still a harsh double standard when it comes to women, especially Black women.
For sure.
And it's unfortunate that, like, okay, so Megan Thee Stallion can't somehow be in tune with what's going on in the political
Right.
landscape. She's just supposed to be an entertainer. I mean, but entertainment and music and arts has always been, it has had its hand in
Right.
creativity and politics. So it's like, wow.
And like, I would be willing. I don't know if I 100% agree, but I'd be willing to hear an argument of like, hey, I don't agree that they should have had Meg Thee Stallion specifically at the rally. I can at least hear that argument. But the thing that turned me off was straight up, I was mad about this specifically. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's
yeah,
the thing
right, yeah,
that hit me where I
Like, did
was
you watch
like,
the rest of the rally? Yeah.
not even that. Did you see the other rallies? She had one the day after. Did you see that one? Like,
right,
like
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Like, why are you just completely shutting your brain off?
And then he mentioned some other stuff about like RFK and everything, and I was kind of like, all right, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, we get into a point where this is kind of crazy, like, but and then he did mention something that did have a bit more teeth to it that I feel like is also a very destructive thing that entered the Black political landscape over the past couple years. He was talking about one of the things that attracted him to Trump was I think it was like I don't think it was a full-on tax cut. It was like more of a bit of a tax break for those making 100,000 plus. And he said, what I don't know for sure, I kind of argue on if his finances was really like that, but he said that he technically qualified for that. And I'm just like, but you have kids, right? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, Kamala was offering similar cuts for people with kids. Like, you got multiple, from what I know. Like, you could have fell under that too. Also, the corporate tax thing that Kamala and them were like arguing for was for people 400,000 plus. You was not close to that. Like, like I said, I side-eyed him when he said he qualified for the 100,000 thing. I know he wasn't hitting 400,000. Shout out to him. I hope he don't mess up my hair next time I go. But like,
Right.
I'm just saying, like, I like, and I think one of the reasons I wanted to touch on that, because I feel like that, I want to say ever since like the pandemic happened, I started noticing that, like, when it came to the stimuluses and everything, is this idea of like being the next Black millionaire or billionaire.
Yeah.
And Black capitalism has always been a thing, don't get me wrong, but like, I want to say it's been much more pervasive over the past couple years for some reason. Like, of a lot of Black people, again, unfortunately, most of them being Black males, but there's some Black women too out there who be wilding. But a lot of them who really think that tomorrow they're next up. They're gonna be at the Rock Nation lunch, at the Rock Nation brunch. Like, that's the odds of that happening to you are so small. You know what I mean? Like,
You know what? Those are the individuals who would choose dinner with Jay-Z instead of the 500 grand. Like, you know what I'm saying?
it is just so it's so crazy. Like I said, the reason I feel like I've noticed it more the past couple years is like, one of the big things that scared me even before the presidential race really, really took off was I was seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter of Black folks talking about, say what y'all want about Trump, but he at least got us that money. I'm like,
And that's
oof.
and that's
I
so
was
like And that's so self-centered. It's like, I mean, hey, but I mean, yeah, sure, trans people are gonna get fucked up, but hey, I got $1,500. Like, don't fuck yourself. You know,
You don't even gotta take it that far out. Relate it back to them. Hey, my cousin's
right,
gonna get fired from his job at the
right,
airport because he's a federal worker.
Right,
But you know
right.
what I
right.
mean? Look, cousin
But
Man
hey, I
Man
got
and them
fifteen
who
hundred
had a
dollars. You
government,
know,
my mom's
grandma's gonna
like,
And
lose
then
her
also
Medicaid.
too,
Like,
right, and also too, these are things that when you pay your tax, you paid into it. So
mm-hmm,
it's technically
mm-hmm.
like you're getting your money back. I mean, this is when you work and pay taxes. These are
right,
things that you paid into. So it's not like you're just simply getting free money. You
right.
know, and you know, it's just like when people when they
And
talk
that's what they
about
don't
gutting Social
get.
Security, these are people. You know, when you fired and you pay Social Security tax when that comes out of your paycheck, these are things that you are working towards that you work for. And so it's just not, well, I'm like, you think that somebody's just giving it? No, you're not just being given that.
And
You work for it.
that
So
goes to the whole low information thing that we were talking about because
Yep.
a lot of people too, A, don't know that part, and B, these same people also don't know that man did not want y'all to have that money. He actively
Right.
tried to get it taken away from you. He tried his hardest. He he
Oh
was
my
fighting
god.
tooth and nail not to give y'all that money. And for some reason, y'all just in. I don't know how it happened. I don't know if like it was Elon manipulating the algorithm. I don't know what happened, but so many people just really it burned into their brain. Like I remember I watched this video of I think it was a right winger guy. He was doing, them little racist street interviews or whatever, but he kept going up to all these black
Oh.
folks, and the video was already infuriating, but turned sad. It turned sad how many black folks with the Haitian dreads was down there. Yeah, yeah, Trump went and got me that money, bro. I went and put that money on the car, and I was like, oh Lord, I was like, please help me. Yeah, man, it's like, yeah, it's crazy, but like, again, it's just like low information plus the black capitalism thing. Like I know there's been a lot of talks on like why his African American numbers went up. Now they weren't as high as I think the media tried to make it seem, because they tried to make it
yeah,
seem
no,
like
yeah,
black folks was coming out in droves. That's not what happened. But like,
Right.
uh, it
no,
did
no.
rise. It did rise, and I think that low information plus black capitalism type stuff really
Mhm.
did a number on folks to get that few percentage to go up.
Yeah. And I mean, like if people are having an every person for themselves mentality,
Mm,
then I'm like, we all lose that way. We
yeah,
really do.
Right.
So just it's just really unfortunate what we're dealing with now. But the thing is, just how to stay motivated, how to stay encouraged,
yeah,
and also how we continue to work together in this time. And
yeah.
right now it feels difficult. It
Oh,
feels
for
so
sure.
difficult, but some of us don't have a choice. Some of us just don't have a
Yeah.
choice to keep
Right.
going and keep fighting and to keep on pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think part of that comes with like being able to forgive each other. You know what I mean? Like, as mad as I am about some of those type of people, like I have to also realize the fact too that there are systems in place that create those types of people, I guess. So I should, I kind of got to be like, well, most of those low information might not have been all their fault. Some of them just, you know,
I think there is something to be said about being understanding
yeah.
without just simply forgetting what happened, because there is a level of accountability that people need to have.
Oh no,
Uh,
yeah.
so yeah, but I do think that just going hard line
Ooh,
with,
excuse me.
I would say that there are some people who you're just going to be like you said. Are we going to achieve 100% unity? Probably not.
Yeah.
There are going to be some people who, if they are so far down the line that you cannot reason with them, then I don't recommend exhausting yourself trying to, be as forgiving,
Right.
but I
Oh
think
yeah, like if they're full on Candace Owens and stuff like that, yeah, okay,
yeah,
that's a different thing. Yeah, I want to talk
yeah,
about them. I'm talking
yeah,
about like,
Yeah.
you know, you like yeah, I'm talking about most of the ones like online and on TikTok who just fell into an information bubble and didn't realize
Yeah.
what they was doing. Like, yeah, I'm not talking about full on
yeah.
like step and
Mhm.
fetch it. You know what I mean? Like then, them, yeah, go ahead, get them up out of there.
Yeah, I think that another reason for this is that we've just become so consumed by social media
Mm,
and what we're
Mhm.
seeing on TV. And we seem to have forgotten that there was a time where there was a library, that there were
mm,
books,
Yeah.
there was in-person engagement, that there were forums where, you had to, I mean, sure, there's a lot of information that's at our fingertips. There's also a lot of
mm.
misinformation at
Yeah,
our fingertips. And, the ability to, I guess, decipher what and discern what is plausible and what is not.
yeah,
Sometimes, it makes people jaded, and I know there are some, just like with the get rich quick thing, where people just want to snap their fingers and be rich. People also want the information to be true and in such a short period of time, and that's
right.
not how this works. Oftentimes it takes time, and it can be tedious, it can be frustrating,
Hmm.
but people like quick solutions, and that's just not how this works.
Right.
And so I think once people, I think hopefully if those folks understand that, yeah, I mean, TikTok and social media it can be great for certain information, but it is not the end
Mhm.
all be all to how we mobilize and
Right.
connect and how we build. And it's going to take more folks to, sort of get out of that. That's why I understand why people take social media breaks. It
Mm,
can be very overwhelming to the
yeah.
point where it is distracting. So, just I think trying to balance between what you see on social media, but also how you're engaging in real time is very, very
Right.
important. And which brings us back to, the event that we are putting on next month
Mm,
in Atlanta, in the Atlanta area. So, yeah.
yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I definitely agree with that. I think too part of it is like the people who have the more accurate information. I think there's been one of the things I noticed, especially like when I was in college, was like I feel like a lot of like more so academia or whatever, or like the intellectuals, like when it comes to the whole anti-intellectual stuff, I that does scare me. However, I feel like a lot of times a lot of the intellectuals fail to meet the task because they have a bit of an adherence to meeting people where they're at. You know what I'm saying? Like I think, you know, like I know you shouldn't have to, but I feel like if you want more people to be able to to learn how to identify misinformation and stuff like that, you kind of need to meet them where they're at, show up where the misinformation is at, and tell them, hey, this is wrong. Like, so that would
Mhm.
take going on Twitter, that would take going on TikTok and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of, you know, some of our brightest minds have an aversion to that, and they feel it's
Right.
kind
And
of beneath them.
yeah,
Yeah.
or some of them, just like with some of the other folks, that, we do tend to put folks who have
Mhm.
like, the alphabet soups behind their name as if they are, I mean, many of them are human, and there are
Right.
some things that they may miss.
Mhm.
And so I think working with folks who can relay things on
Right.
what would be considered a lay level is important. I do think that if folks make things a lot more, I mean, a bit more accessible. It doesn't mean that I do think that folks should be able to, if there's a word they don't know, they should be able to look it up, right?
Right, right.
But and not talk in such a way that it is completely going over someone's head. And
Right.
you don't
Right.
necessarily need and I think sometimes we do equate having a degree or having degrees with being more intelligent. And as we are
Mhm.
seeing
Yeah.
in certain professions, that is not always the case. So,
Right.
yeah, but I do think that, yes, it is important that for those who are in those academic,
Right.
professions, that it is important to be able to communicate that
And
and in a way that is, and every field has had their challenges, but yes, I
Mm.
do think that there is something to be said about being able to relate to people in a way that they can better understand and kind of get out of their comfort zone,
Right.
to be able to relay it to folks, and it not sound like you're being condescending or you're talking down to people.
Exactly.
So yeah,
Exactly.
and that doesn't mean spare
and
people's feelings all the time, but I
right.
get it.
Yeah, like it's the difference
And that's
between deciphering something and dumbing something down.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I mean?
mm,
Like, deciphering, like, yeah, you got to meet people where they're at or whatever, but you shouldn't have to dumb it all the way down to the
yeah,
point that like you using stick figures and stuff like that. But like, but at the very least, like you said, meet people where they're at or everything. Try not to
mhm.
sound like too condescending because that is something I've noticed. Like, again, it's an especially social media thing too. I've noticed where somebody will try to educate somebody or something, and then when the person is like, "Hey, I never heard about that. Where'd you hear that? Go look it up yourself." Well, you introduced the argument, like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like that's weird.
I
Like
mean,
that's weird. You
I
just
mean, and that's
you
mm,
just wrote a bunch of facts and
yeah,
then
right.
you said, "Well, go look it up." You like at that's where I feel like a lot of people kind of miss it. I'm just like, see, that was your moment to send them the like the source. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I know some people like again.
yeah,
I know sometimes like it could be challenging because you don't know who to take seriously online, so you don't know 100% if that person really wanted the source or not. But at the very least,
yeah.
uh even if they are being like facetious or whatever, I'll just send you the source just to embarrass you anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like even if you are arguing with them, I'll just send you the source just to embarrass you. Like, so whether you being legit or not, here's the
I mean,
source, bro. Like, here's the link. Like,
But and that's what I want to say. That's why, and it's crazy you mentioned that, B, because heck, even on our nerd page, like someone makes like a innocent little post, and you always got that one who want to be a smartass. But that's what I appreciate about the Black Nonbelievers approach, because a lot of times we hear about atheist communities, which don't get it twisted. I enjoy the academics and the debaters and all that, but you know, as B said, like Mandisa and the Black Nonbelievers, they more so meet people where they are because, as Mandisa said, hey, we're normal people too, whether you got,
yeah,
a degree or not. You know what I'm saying? And we like to do normal. I almost said the N word. We like to do normal people stuff,
yeah, yeah,
and that's like, and I think that's like, and, like I mean, I got won over by like academia and debate, but like ain't no telling how many people we might have won over just from having, the BN potluck or just from going to speaking events and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So, and
mhm,
that's what I'm excited for with this revival of reason. Hopefully, people at least get curious enough to be like, you know what? Let me at least check it out. Let me hear what these people got to say.
Yeah, and we have someone, you're going to be there. You're going to be performing there, which is cool. I'm very excited about that.
Gonna
We
be
have some
performing
other very
poppers.
special guests. Yes.
Check out the video.
So
Mandisa's in it.
yes, and so looking forward to all the other special guests that we'll have there. And we're going to have a spades tournament that Friday night on the 21st.
Uh-oh.
So
Count me out
it's
of
going
that
to be
one.
a
Y'all
really,
gonna be
really
yelling at
good
me.
time. Yeah, so
So
but
what?
yeah, no.
So like,
Mhm.
will it be mostly speakers, or like I know you said there was gonna be a spade tournament. Like I said, count me out of that because y'all be ready to kill me. But yeah, like what other kinds of activity will be there?
So we are going to, of course, have entertainment. We're going to have music. We're going to have performers. The spades tournament will be accompanied by like a cookout, if you will. So like an indoor
Okay,
and outdoor space. It's going to be a film screening.
I'll be there for that.
Yes, we'll also have like workshops if people want to learn how to get more involved in community activism, resources on how to prepare for like end of life, and also how to support like folks who are recovering from religious trauma. We are going to have a keynote from Mubarak Bala, who was the Nigerian activist
Oh,
who was abducted and detained and wrongfully imprisoned for blasphemy. He's going to be speaking virtually, and we're going to have a performance by
okay.
Godless Gospel. So, and we're also looking to do a community service project. So, yeah, it's going to be very
Oh, man.
interactive, and we're going to have a homecoming ball where there's going to be a DJ, dancing, fun. So, yeah, we want folks to come out. We want folks to have a good time, see how we roll, learn some things, and learn how you can get involved and stay involved, especially on issues that are important to not just an individual, but also, as far as a community. So, and also just come to have a good time and see what we do. It's going to be very, very enlightening and just fun.
All right.
That's
Well,
what's
I'm
up. That's
excited
what's
to
up. And
be
what's the
there.
official dates for that? I don't know if you mentioned it.
Yes, I did. The Rival Reason is going to take place in the Atlanta area from March 21st to the 23rd of this
Okay.
year. So starting Friday evening around 5:30. And we had a video that we shared on all over social media about the schedule. And then Saturday will be all day programming, and then Sunday will be like a half day. So yeah, just come on out to the Atlanta area that weekend if you can, and join us for this very, very monumental event.
All right. That's what's up. Hey. Okay. Yep. We got it posted in the chat. And yeah. Thank y'all. Thank you so much for coming through, Mandisa. We
No
love having
problem. Thank
you.
you for having.
Love
Yeah.
chopping it up with you. I hope the Lord don't send a lightning bolt on y'all in March.
All right.
By now, then
But hey, if it's your first time here, please do not let it be your last. We want to thank Mandisa so much for coming through and chopping it up with us. We thank y'all for watching tonight. Go hit up our brothers on the What They Want podcast on their Instagram. They start at 9. You can still got a little bit of time to head over there. Other than that, I want to thank y'all so much. I am B. We got, where you at? On what side are you on the Tenzin? Are you?
Oh, yeah, right there. Yep. Your boy Tenzin.
All right, and we got.
Mandisa.
Hey, thank y'all so much. We are the SOS. We do this every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. We out. Thank y'all.
Bye-bye.
All right.